Okay, welcome everybody. Happy Friday. This is our second Friday of doing Mastermind on a Friday. And last week was so fun, we decided to move it again. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really looking forward to today. I had a post earlier this week that I'd seen that in another group that I had brought over to our group about this idea of someone really putting a lot of thought and struggling with a trial appointment or consultation, meet and greet. This is this moment in our funnel that we're talking about that is, let me let some people in, this moment in our funnel where people have heard about us, they've come in, we're meeting with them, and then it's, how do we start that relationship? And everybody had so many different pieces of advice, so many different kind of little jewels of wisdom that I wanted that to be a little bit of our core discussion today, which is the idea of after you've been discovered in what you do and you meet or consult with this new potential client, the flow of that. Because what I'm seeing is a ton of variation. Some people are seeing, they really struggle to convert. We'll use the word convert to mean have them sign up or, join your organization or use your service, whatever that means. Some are like, oh, 100% of people that I talk to, once I get them on the phone, they're in, or once we meet, they're in. And I think there's a lot we can do to streamline and optimize that. So much of it's going to revolve around, to me, the idea of just seeing if you're a good fit, right? And being totally open and willing to say, I'm not the best fit for you, but I know who is. And that is so powerful in anything we do, which is just being able to go in and be authentic, honest, not coming up from a place of desperation, even if you need the work, just trusting that being super cool and trying to help this person you're talking to or working with as much as you can. So I wanted to share a little bit about what I do in my and how I approach it. And then I wanted to open up to discussion. Please, we have plenty of time today. If there's topics that you would like to discuss, we have quite a few people here. Please just go ahead and message them over or raise your hand when there's a moment. If you want to jump in, just go. I can't see everybody, so just go ahead and do this thing. So I know you're there because I'd love to hear from anybody that wants to discuss this. But let's just go ahead and jump into this idea of what I do. And hold on, let Corey in. Gosh, we've got just a party today on a Friday. Hey, everybody that just joined us. Hi, Corey. Hi, Cheryl. Welcome. So, meet and greets and trial lessons, trial sessions, consultations. I think these are very, very important because for all of us in this group, we all deal with our customers, what we call high LTV, high lifetime value. The perfect customer comes into our organization and they're going to be there a long time. Average 18 months and up to like 5 years or 10 years. This is a long-term relationship. So we're not talking today about being discovered. They just keep coming. We're not talking about discovery. We're talking about that conversation, that initial meeting and kind of what that needs to encompass. Now, I had a couple just kind of big picture things that I wanted to discuss. For me, it all comes to see if you're a good fit. And I just want to keep reiterating that. Are we a good fit? And you're asking questions. I'm just going to just share something really quick that I put together just so I don't forget to go over what I wanted to discuss. Can you guys see this okay? Okay. So for me, what I do when I meet with somebody, I call it a meet and greet, right? And I think that takes a lot of the pressure off of it. I personally don't charge for it. And so much of the conversations we're seeing in other groups are, do I charge for this or do I not charge? I think that is completely inconsequential, right? I think it doesn't matter. For me, I personally don't. Part of my business model is that I like to meet with a new client, see if I'm a great fit, see if they're a great fit, and then, do that deal of trying to have them be a paid client. Some people, it's very important to them. They feel like their time's really important. They want to be respected. They charge. But I don't think I want that to be the focus of today's conversation because that's just a personal choice, right? I think that charging for a meet and greet creates friction in your initial meeting because you're putting a barrier of entry into them joining your firm. and getting your enthusiasm and everything out there that you're trying to share. So I don't. Some people do, and they feel like this, if they pay for that first appointment, then I know they're serious. I know they're not wasting my time, but let's talk more about the guts of it, right? And what I like to do every time I meet with somebody is it's all about enthusiasm, right? And I do have a flow to it, but it's all about enthusiasm, how much I love what I do, how much I feel that I can help other people. And so, yes, in an introduction, my first moments of any meet and greet are how can I make you comfortable in this arrangement, assuming that you're dealing with something that I have a level of expertise that you don't have, right? So I'm naturally in a position of power. So I want to bring that level of power down to where we're on an even playing field, where I'm listening and I'm connecting. And if it's with a child, I'm like, tell me about your kid. How do they learn? How are they doing? How are you as a parent doing in this time of COVID? If it's an adult, it's like, yes, how are you staying busy? I know you're working from home. Obviously, you have time to do this thing, but just start listening. And people will give you these hints of, what their experience was with your expertise that they're now wanting to learn more about in their previous life, or why they're doing it now. And this is all going to kind of funnel its way in this conversation to when you're saying, hey, you know what? I think we'd be a great fit. This is what I do. This is what I offer. And, would you like to move forward? That's the close, right? So I'm being very general in this, in my approach, but it's always, I introduce about just trying to make a connection, right? Are we a good fit? How can I make you comfortable? Because when people first meet each other, they put up they're not authentic generally, right? It's really hard to meet a new person and be super authentic and be like, hey, this is me. We're often putting on a show, and your potential clients are also putting on a show, right? How can you make them comfortable? How can you get them to their authentic self? If you can make a person comfortable, and if you can make a person see how enthusiastic about what you do, they're probably gonna, the close or the offer becomes secondary, right? And I just had a difficult time saying this, but a lot of people that I've talked to that have struggled with this moment of saying, gosh, we met and it went cool, but then they didn't sign up. I thought, wow, you know what? The issue isn't the trial. It's not the consultation. It's that there wasn't an appropriate level of enthusiasm. You didn't reach them. There wasn't that connection made in that time. And so that window, whether it's 15 minutes or it's an hour, whatever you do to consult somebody, that's our job, is to be. And I saw some really great coaches that are masters at this, discussing their process and how they coach people. And it's all process based, which is like, well, first you script it out and you say, this is what you do when you introduce yourself, and then you do this. But they weren't conveying the fact that their people to people, their interpersonal skills were exceptional, right? And that's what I'm encouraging you all about, is being human and being open and listening and creating connection and understanding human nature. That becomes a sales flow. And at least that's what it is for me, that feels authentic and it feels genuine and it builds a relationship. And then, so you've got your funnel where people hear about you. You've got this meeting where you meet with people, and then you've got the relationship moving forward that's all been established, right? They trust you. So they trust it, how your billing is going to work. They trust what your cancellation policy is going to be. They trust how much you're going to charge because you've conveyed to them that you're special and that you've made them feel special. So that is, in a nutshell, actually a long nutshell, that's like the whole deal. For me, and I think I've done 13, maybe 15 meet and greets in the last month. I've done, and 3 of them I did knowing that I wasn't going to be able to take these students. I sent them to, I'm so excited. I have a student graduating from Berklee School of Music, and I've been able to send him students for his studio as he's coming out. And it's making me so joyful because I think they'd be a great fit. And I always do that. Is I will meet with somebody even if I don't have space for them, because sometimes someone comes along that's so wonderful and you connect so deeply, so instantly, you make room for them, right? I think I threw one at Tony that way not too long ago, that I was like, these guys have to meet, and it was so awesome. So, and again, I always go back to this book about this natural, what is the natural sales purpose? where you're just constantly trying to just do what's best for this client moving forward. So that's my flow. And I have more notes and I want to share on it more deeply, but I know that other people had some ideas they wanted to share or maybe questions they asked. But ultimately, I feel like once you get somebody into a consultation, and I know everybody here, you're awesome. If you're able to truly be yourself, be authentic, work in their best interests, you should be closing at least 90%. 9 out of 10 should be trying to sign up with you, maybe 8 out of 10, wanting to be a part of your organization, unless there's something like a money issue or something for some reason they can't, right? And then that's a whole different, then that's sales. That's a whole different trip. So I want to talk about that body, what you do, what kind of attitude you bring to it, what your intention is. If you want to talk about, the flow before, whether you charge for it or not, that's great. I know, Tony, you said you wanted to share something on this topic, which would be awesome. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in. Excuse me. So I do charge for an introductory session, but it's a reduced fee. It's about a quarter of my normal price, and that's just it's, if somebody's really just looking for something for free, that's going to prevent them from doing it. The other thing is if I'm sending them my Fons link, they're already entering their payment information and they're kind of ready to go. Like you, I send the link so that they can sign up for that appointment. They can see my standard rate, and and I'll just tell them, I said, when you sign up with the link, just you choose the introductory session. Everybody gets an introductory session. Most of the students that will come to me, because I really don't do any advertising for students. So most students are coming from a direct referral from someone. So I've already come with some sort of positive endorsement, but I have gotten, because of like Facebook community groups and things where people will share my name, and then through searches, I will get sometimes questions from people looking for a piano teacher who don't really know anything about me. And so that's usually my first question, is like, well, how did you find me? Like, because I didn't, I want to know if they're already coming from another, referred from another family, or did they just find my name and they're like, I'm just in the hat with 10 other people that they're going to call. And my general attitude about it is, if people, whatever people ask for questions, I only answer those questions. I never offer any additional information. So if somebody calls and says, how much do you charge? That's all I answer. And I just say, let me know if you have any other questions. So I never, I know a lot of people will say, like, well, even though they asked that, I give all this other information about my studio. Well, they didn't even ask that. So I don't want to make an assumption that they even want to know. Maybe that is really the only thing that they're considering at the first, is like, let me just weed this down to the people that I can afford. So I'm not going to put any effort or attention or time into trying to swing them at that point. I'm only going to answer a question. I try to get on the phone with people, because that's how I just like to communicate by phone. And if they don't know anything about my program and they're asking me all these questions, I will give general responses about what I do, but I offer that introductory session for a quarter of my normal price, because I really don't want to talk about it. I don't want to try to sell them. I just want them to have the opportunity to experience my lesson at what would be probably less than the cost of any other instructor that would be charging for a 30-minute lesson, because I'm charging at a quarter of the price. So they have the opportunity to experience my lesson at a reduced, like, with there's no risk really. I mean, they just have to pay this small fee and they can experience the lesson. So if they're considering a bunch of teachers, and if I'm ever feeling like I'm in a position of like, well, why would we choose you over this school or anything? I don't get into any of that stuff. I said, well, why don't you just try a lesson? So once I get them to commit to a trial lesson, when I come in, I only communicate with the student. And I really just direct all my attention, my questions, my focus is directly on the student. And I get to go in there and I just do what I do, which is teach. And then when I leave when I'm on my way out, I kind of just, I don't try to close. I just tell them, I said, all right, talk to your kid. If you guys want the spot, just call me let me know tomorrow. And I just leave. And now you got to go talk to your kid. Because I know I either know at that point, the kid had a great time and the parent's not going to tell the kid no, or it didn't work out and I probably won't hear from them. So as of right now, before I did this, like the charging, even the nominal fee is kind of new. Like 6 months ago, I used to do free trial lessons, and I realized there was one time I gave a free trial lesson. I had a bunch of people that didn't get past the phone call, because I do like to have a phone call at first. But like I've only ever given one trial lesson that I didn't convert. So I know my conversion rate is strong because I know what I offer is unique, and I know that if I just focus on the experience, and I don't want to get into this sales about what it is. And you mentioned, like, are we a good fit? Honestly, to me, I'm kind of like, well, that's up to them. And part of that has to do with the approach that I take, where, I'm very concept and theory based with my music, but when it comes to the material, like what we're actually learning, I give so much of that to the student. So, you choose your songs, it's interest-led learning, student-directed teaching. So there's not really, unless they're coming in and they're like, they want to do something that I'm not capable of doing, whether we're a good fit or not is really going to be up to them. And more importantly, it's like, all I really care about is the student. Like if they're willing to pay my rate and abide by my, few policies that I have, we're a good fit as far as I'm concerned. Because I'm looking to bring music into your life.
So Tony, let me jump in on you just a second, because this is all awesome, right? And so, but let me reiterate a little bit about what you said, because I think there's some stuff that we should all like write down, okay? Because you said one, you're coming from this with great people skills. You're going to connect. Two, you've got an abundance mentality, meaning you don't really care if they're going to sign. Like you're like, okay, cool. That is so powerful. It's hard to fake. You've got that. But three, I have to say, I don't like to say it, but your onboarding flow of charging for the lesson makes more sense than mine, because it gets their payment information. So what Tony's saying is they've already signed up, they've entered their payment information, meaning when it's time for them to start, they're already in a system with a payment method. They've already been through it. I don't have that.
There's no more action step from them, because now it's like, oh, if you want it, I can just put you on the schedule, because you don't even need to worry about it.
So I'm going to edit this out so nobody can hear this later, but Tony wins, and I'm going to tweak my onboarding flow a little bit. Dang it. So, you said it, you said a couple other things, but here's the write downable thing that Tony said that I think was maybe the most impactful thing he said. I'm paraphrasing, is that information is friction. And right, this is, I did sales for a very long time for arts organizations here in Seattle, and I ran marketing and developing campaigns. And once you start getting excited and start talking and giving people information they don't want, that becomes friction. It causes cognitive dissonance in their minds. And it's what Tony's saying is like, answer their questions, and then when you get your chance, you said you weren't closing, but you are closing. Your close is the lesson, and then leaving saying, great, call me when you're ready. It's the most powerful close, right? So your close is coming from a place of power, not, oh, can I get you to come in really quick because rent's due next week? It's like, cool, call me, which is just, it's just like high school. It's like nothing's really changed. So it's beautiful.
I wanted to say, to your point too, it's like one of the things that I learned, like I had one of my childhood friends grew up to be a degenerate gambler, and we had a lot of good times at casinos where he made some pretty good money, and we got to go up and hang out in like the 42nd floor, like private casinos and stuff. And one of the things that I noticed in there is like all the dealers in those really big high roller tables, they are like trained to mirror your personality. And that it's not about being like fake or unauthentic, but it's just about observing and like being able to read your clients. And it's like at those dealer tables, like if the client, if the player was really chatty and wanted to talk and like, then the dealers would be like that. But if they were really serious and quiet, they would be really serious and quiet. And they're trained to mirror their personality to make them, what you were saying, as comfortable as they could possibly be. That's really all you need to do to make people comfortable, is just, and then focus a lot of the attention on them. Ask a lot of questions from them. Have you taken lessons before? Where did you take? What did you like about that experience? All this stuff. I don't need to tell them everything about, I'm trying to get information. They don't need information from me. They don't even know what they're doing. They're coming to hire a piano teacher, And so it's really more important for me to get information. And then when it comes to, the one thing I'll say is when it comes to the availability, and I know this isn't a secret because people talk about this all the time, but when people ask me, like right now I have 2 spots in my schedule that are intentionally left open so that I could offer a makeup lesson to somebody if there was a pinch. But like right now, if somebody called me for a lesson, I would tell, you know, I can tell them, I say, yes, I have Fridays at 5 or 5:30, like available right now. But like doing that thing where you do not give them like all your availability or give them more than 1 or 2 options. But from that point, you can just tell them like, because you want to get away, you like what you're looking for from the people is obviously I just tell them, I say, give me as much availability as you have.
Yeah.
And I'll see if I can make something work.
Cool.
If you're looking for things like, you know, Mondays after 4 are great. You know, Tuesday's not a good day. Wednesday between 3 and 7. You're looking for big windows. And then saying like, maybe I can see if I can make something work here. But it's again, putting them back into the position of like, you tell me why I should work with you. Not in an arrogant, like, you know, you're lucky you get to work with me kind of thing. But this kind of thing where it's like, if you do offer something that's sort of specialized, it's not really like, and somebody's coming and they're not really looking for that. Like, one, then why are you going to pay me the extra for the thing that I specialize in if you're not really even going to take advantage of it in the first place? And like you, I would love, like, you know, all these, you know, I feel like I'm here with all my friends. Like I could like, if it wasn't a good fit for me, I could send somebody, you know, I could send them to somebody else I know, which is awesome. So yeah, the charging thing is just kind of, I'm like you, I'm like, it doesn't really make a difference. Like,
It doesn't.
Yeah. Who
It
cares?
doesn't.
And again, for me, it's more of just like, I felt like because of the market that I was kind of attracting now, where I'm getting more like adult students and things that I'm working at that are more professionals. I was concerned if I just put out an offer for free lessons, like a free introductory lesson or things like that. And again, what I'm doing is a little different than what you're doing. You're doing a meet and greet.
Yeah.
Like I'm giving a full on experience. I'm giving you this is the thing. Because the other thing is I'm also kind of in competition with other people who are charging premium rates for online lessons.
Yep.
So if someone's coming between me and someone else, and I can say like, hey, you know, like go try a lesson with him, go try a lesson with me. Now you're going to compare the full rate experience with that person and the quarter rate experience with me.
Sure.
And make your decision based on that. And they're going to say, you know, and that's how I've gotten some of my students too. It's like they went with someone else and then they tried mine and then they said, I like yours better. And maybe that's happened to me too. And I just don't know about it.
Right.
But it's I guess when it comes to the fit, I kind of leave that's up to them.
Cool. Well, Tony, thanks for sharing that, man. That's awesome. And a nice tweak. I know we had some other people that wanted to share something too. Let me just do it kind of in order. Melissa, you had something you wanted to add on to that. You said you had a nugget.
Yeah,
Plus, look at those pianos. Come on, just show us really quick. Look at that.
Oh man.
Gosh, Steve Treseler, you only have one baby grand back there. Whatever.
No, the upright had to go away. So
I
got nothing on Melissa. And
I have to tell you, I've been speechless since it arrived yesterday. Like I have no words. So if you know me, that's unusual.
So Melissa's glowing, which she usually is. It's just you're at a new fever pitch today. Yeah.
Apparently. Yeah, no, what I wanted to share is one of the mistakes I made early on when I was first growing my studio is I would assume that if somebody didn't work with me or sign on right away, I assumed that was a forever no. And I've since learned that most of the time after I've met with people or done a meet and greet, it actually isn't a forever no. And here's why. I've had so many people come back, like they'll contact me 2 years after a meet and greet and say, hey, we went and we did this other studio and we worked with this other teacher and, you know, we're ready to come to you now. Or I've had people come and say, hey, we didn't take lessons with you, but we just referred our friend so-and-so. And so I just want to pass that along that, you know, timing may not always work out because what I may have available for somebody may not fit with their schedule, or what I'm, you know, sharing with them might not fit with where their child is at that particular moment. But
Hmm.
you can't assume that a no is a forever no. In fact, I get a lot of people who come back and say, "Hey, we went elsewhere," or "Hey, it didn't work out at the time, but we really liked you, and now things have changed, life has changed, COVID, right? And so now we have time. Can we come and work with you?" So just remember that, even if you think that something didn't work out and you're questioning, like, why didn't this happen? Didn't I make a connection? Or, what did I do wrong? A lot of times it's not even that. It's just a timing issue. And if you just are patient and kind of let it go, a lot of times it all comes back around. And so remember that a no is not always a forever no.
As Cheryl just says, yes, no means not yet. That's awesome, Cheryl. Yeah,
Exactly.
Melissa, that is a golden nugget, and I agree 100%. Is that we're all putting these ripples into the pond, and you make an impression. You might meet with somebody when they're having a bad day or going through a hard thing, and their situation can change, but they can amplify your message in other direction. You'll meet with people that don't end up working with you, and they'll still end up referring you because they had a great experience meeting with you. So yeah, having a perspective on that. And you have to be doing it a while to see that perspective, right? That's one of those things when you're first out the gates, it's really difficult because you're trying to make a name for yourself, you're trying to build, or you're feeling pressure to. And again, between what you're both saying, abundance mentality, being super cool, being in the best interest of the person you're working with. And it's like we're all kind of saying the same thing. We're kind of somewhat letting go of the outcome a little bit. And we're moving away from traditional sales, which is, there are people out there that are really hard closers and it's effective. And we see it in our space, and that they will do anything they can to do sales. And they were brought up with this Glenn Ross model, and it does not fit into our modern way of being humans or being cool. And it's really easy to see it. It's really easy to feel it when you're with somebody and you've maybe bought something, but you feel kind of gross in your stomach and you feel like maybe you weren't ready, but you did it anyway. And that's not how any of us do our deal. Right. So that's a great point. Thank you so much for sharing that. Stephen Hughes, you had something you wanted to pipe in about. Oh yeah, go for it, man. What's up? How are you?
I'm doing all right. Doing all right. It's gonna catching up today on a bunch of stuff. But yeah, I'll be quick. Look, I think my model over time has been to have a complete transparency, just because that's just how I would want to be treated, either as a student or as a client. And then, the way that I work as a teacher is I like to develop pretty complex roadmaps for students so that way I can kind of see a picture, kind of a grand scale picture of how they might travel, through these experiences, musical experiences. And so what I'll do with the student in a consult is I'll immediately talk to them, find out what their psyche is and what their the reasoning for taking lessons. And so we'll kind of dive just right into that, and then I'll take them on kind of a journey. I'll walk them through the process. If they're wanting to improvise, I'll kind of walk them through that process. If they want to do more of a classical-based structure, so I want them to get excited and see the different, kind of get a picture of where things are headed. So my consult is really more about getting them pumped up, psyched up, getting them smiling, getting them thinking about all the different ways to play music and all the different ways they can, create music on the instrument. So by the time they get to me in that first initial consult, it's not a sales pitch. It's already like a hot lead. Through my complete transparency, through my website, through the marketing, through demonstrations that I have of my teaching online, and then demonstrations of students. So by the time they get to me, or for referrals, so they already know what I'm about. They have a pretty good picture of that. And then when we talk together about, we're talking music, we're talking about them. And then at that point, it's just more of a, let's get this scheduled. So that's really my approach. I don't do any sales pitch. I was an account executive for about 5 years in my early 20s. And the irony is I wasn't really good at closing, but I was really good at figuring out roadmaps on how to get to the actual, the president, or how to get to the decision maker. So I would have to bring in my boss to help me close the deal, but I was really good at actually getting there. So I kind of take that approach when it comes to this. I don't, I sound desperate when I try to sell. So that's not
Me
what I
too.
want.
Yes. That's a really great point. Thanks for sharing that. I know I really like a couple things that you said. One is you put a lot of effort into your outer funnel a little bit more, not just getting people attracted, but getting people informed. So by the time they get to you, they already have an idea of what the deal is, how your ops are going to be, how you're going to be working it, and and again, another person to say, I don't do a hard close, right? You've seen what I do. I'd love to have you. I think we're a great fit. If you want it, here's a spot if you want it. Hey, Steve Treseler, I want to hit you in just a second, but before I do, I want to, Sharissa, I hope it's okay if I ask you, because you had mentioned something else this week that I want to fold into this conversation. I have learned, through my experiences the last couple of years, I have gotten so much wisdom from not just academic tutors, but especially personal trainers, athletic coaches, people that work in that. And Sharissa, that's what she does. She's in New York. She had asked a question this week about, we need to talk about how to survive. Like, what are we doing right now? And I don't want to change the topic because I think this is really great, but I want to take a moment to hear from Sharissa about what you do as far as bring people in for your first meeting. Sharissa is a trainer, but she's got a great niche, is that she focuses on, what do you call it, an aging population, keeping people moving, keeping people active, keeping people healthy. And so, Sharissa, I'd love to hear about how you consult with people, but I'd also love to just hear, like, you can follow up on your question you asked earlier in the week about surviving right now, because I know sounds like you got a lot going on. How are you?
Huh? I'm doing pretty well, considering I'm doing a half hour on my bike. Surgery. Got this baby, so I'm doing a half hour a day. I'm Buddhist, so I'm doing a half an hour meditation every single morning.
Nice.
And that's done it. I feel really good. So I was taught traditionally early 2000s personal training, sales, free session, sales, push. But I found, for me, the abundance mentality really put me over the edge. So when I come in, I'm not desperate for money, or I just come in, I'm very relaxed about my sales approach. Say I'm taking on another personal trainer's client. I say, you know what? I'm going to do this session for you. If you don't like it, don't pay me, because that's how much confidence I have in my skills and my ability as a trainer. And you know what? They always pay me because it's a good session. I make sure of that. And I'm just very relaxed. Somebody calls me and I just go in, I give them their fitness assessment, I do my thing, and it's 98% of the time a done deal. But with COVID,
Okay.
a lot of things for me that have been a sure thing and a done deal have fallen apart, and it's just been really interesting. It's been weird.
Could you
So,
tell us about that? Like,
yeah,
give an example?
someone call me, a doctor, and I know these people can afford it because I'm expensive. I'm more on the higher end of the pay scale for
But you know this isn't a price issue.
Yeah, exactly. So I go, I do the assessment. The couple is like, who are you? What is this? What's my son making me do? By the end of the session, they were just like, what are you? You're more than a trainer. You're so skilled. Can we tell our friends about you? And I was like, sure. And I call them. I say, it went really well. She calls me a week later. No, a 24 hours before the session, we're canceling. The guy he had set up the payment in my system. And that's happened to me 3 times. Okay, it's very unprecedented times. But I mean, I'm just going to relax about it. I'm actually wanting to, move on to online courses and stuff like that. So it's just been really interesting. I've never seen anything like that.
so it's most likely something to do with this moment we're all experiencing. Do you see, have you talked to other people that like in your milieu that's seeing that kind of same thing? Does it have something that maybe they want in person, or maybe that they don't, no one wants in person, do they?
No, I'm doing in person. Yes.
You are doing in person.
Yeah.
Could it be something to do with that?
I have to wear a mask at work. People are opening the doors. I'm training in backyards. I'm doing in person because these people, they're having so many issues, and some of them, like I have like a lot of, the widow in the big house by herself.
Yes.
Husband just died. Yeah, that kind of thing. And the psychological of having me not come is kind of more of a risk. So I just wear a mask, and sometimes I'll use a separate bathroom, and I wash my hands as soon as I get in. And it's a real headache at my type of job wearing a mask, but it's very necessary.
Right. And your clientele probably didn't switch to the online, like could you do a session with me like this? And is your clientele generally open to that?
Some of them did. Some of them did. So I have maybe 3 or 4 that switched to online. I have a couple that I think are going to stay online forever. I have people that signed up entirely online because I was a groundbreaker with online sessions. I've been doing them for 9 years, way before anybody else did them, way before anyone else wanted to do them. I've been trying to push the service for like 9 years. Nobody would take it. That's why
now they will.
Yeah, with my, doing in person. So it's just been really interesting and like a very different playing field for me.
You know what? And the thing about, again, you're another person, big vibes, big spirit, great mission. And I can get your personality over like in this view, I get it. I'd love to work with you. It sounds awesome. I wonder if like your focus of your energy is really communicating the amazing efficacy of how well it can work to be online. And I know for a lot of us that are music teachers, parents have just gotten comfortable with it. Like they just, their minds have opened up to it in the last 8 months. Like it's like it's a norm now, and they're cool with it. But I wonder if for you, a lot of that, what you're doing is informed, be like, hey, I love this. It's so safe. I can work you just as hard. I can have you hold it up even, closer to check your form, whatever. I wonder if putting some energy into that might, because if I were someone that were older, and I know many people that are fitting the exact description you're describing, they're having their house cleaners not come. They're, and it's being dictated a lot of times by the younger generations, right? They're being like, Mom, Dad, no house cleaners until this thing blows over. You can't risk it. You're an at-risk population. You're dealing with other issues than we are, but that's something maybe you and I could, on a separate thing, could maybe brainstorm a little bit sometime and bring in some of the other coaches. And maybe we could do like a personal trainer converting from into the online realm, creating comfort with it. So could be super cool.
That would be good. But as far as other people, either in New York, it's the businesses. It's just trashed. Nobody's going to the gym. My main competition, I noticed, is closed. They're gone.
Yeah.
And I have friends who are quitting the business. It's pretty intense. So I'm pretty lucky. I mean, it's not like I'm not doing work. I'm still doing 16 personal training sessions, and
nice.
Split between video and video and in person, which is also like a little weird. And I have a couple of clients who are more towards middle age, and they are going to stay in person. And also I'm using this opportunity, I'm writing my book. It's like the first 10 pack of me, of like, when you get 10 sessions, I just wrote it all down, and I wanted to put it in a print book, which is really hard. But now with COVID, people in my age group will accept an online class. And so I've been working on that.
Hey, I want to, because this is enough for us to have an entire mastermind on this, because what you're saying is so cool. Melissa said something that I didn't think of, and I wish I did, which is getting this kind of thing for yourself. Like for instance, it's on my top of my list to see a personal trainer for 3 years. In that time, I've hired probably 20 providers for my children, right? I see the pride. My children get it. I'm like, and I remind them all the time. I'm like, you guys get so much more stuff than I do. I'm wondering, she's saying, is it overwhelmed that like, they meet, they're like, it sounds great, but there's like, maybe, I think what Melissa's getting at is there a friction to starting the experience of investing in yourself. Right. And I know that I feel that where like, it's much easier for me to sign my kids up for something and follow through than it is for me. Right. And I wonder if that's being augmented right now due to all the stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
I'm finding that I'm getting a lot of adults are signing up right now to want to work with me because they're home and working and they have the time, but they're mostly younger adults, really open to the online thing. So, I am so glad you're here and to hear your experience. And I really want to, I'd love to brainstorm it further. And I think I know some really awesome people we could bring into a really cool conversation. And this stuff can help everybody. So thank you so much for sharing it.
It's like, so it's been hard, a lot of personality issues. I'm probably in one of the roughest areas for COVID, but I'm really using that opportunity to next level it. I mean, really, for the past year, I've been wanting to next level it, which is why I'm here.
And Sharissa, you said, speaking of opportunity, I love that you said you're taking this time to work on your book. And I'm really bummed to hear that certain retail or spaces have had to close down. That's opportunity though, too, which is that if you're there and you're doing great work in this space and you're ahead of the game on it, being like, I'm the person that's really good in this space, it could be, you could get really busy. It's a reality when there's always an opportunity, and it sounds like you're kind of right in the middle of one. Karin, you said you wanted to share a little something for Sharissa before we heard from Steve.
Yeah, I mean, it's, as you were talking about, the whole idea of people investing in themselves. And I had a story about this, and this was actually before pre-COVID. I was also online pre-COVID because I had several students in Colorado, and I was going out to San Diego for an extended time to work on my own singing. So at least, I had a good excuse. And so some of them just stayed online for the convenience. I got one student because he was preparing for an audition and they needed somewhere, someone who's going to be able to be there and be present, rain or shine, Colorado, crazy weather, winter, all of that. But this one other student who stayed on with me for a while, and it was really one of those things where it was a short-term, just sort of like, almost like she came into my life and I came into her life for a very specific purpose in her particular personal transitions, going through a divorce, among other things. And during one of our online sessions, I was just trying to get her to feel, she was having a hard time finding a spot in her schedule that would work on the regular. And I said to her, it's like, this is really important because this is something that you are doing for yourself right now that is helping you. And she started crying. Like, people don't realize how much they're depriving themselves in not, they feel guilty about investing in themselves, especially if it's something like singing where it's only seen as valuable if you're somehow up performing somewhere. I don't know why.
Did everybody, as Karin was describing that, did you guys feel that little emotional thing in your heart when she said doing something for yourself right now, like I did? Like that kind of like, oh yeah, I should do something for myself. Like putting that message, Sharissa, somewhere into your work is what Karin's saying is beautiful. Cause I felt it. I was like, oh, felt something. Like, let's just take a note of that. Like, which is, do this for yourself right now. You might not even know it, but you need it so much. See how you feel after using your body for the next 6 weeks or 5 weeks, and just see, and then check in with yourself. Because what she just did is that just checked into the emotional, which is what we haven't even talked about at all today, which is maybe the number one thing when we start talking about sales, which we're inadvertently talking about sales, which is an emotion. Right? Which is, yes, I need to take care of myself. And why haven't I? That's emotional. Like, oh gosh. And I think for what you do, Sharissa, that could maybe be like the linchpin to make it happen, which is like, give this a shot, do this for yourself. See how you feel, check in. So sorry to interrupt you, Karin, but it was too good. I was going to forget, and it was awesome.
No worries. That was kind of the main point of what I was saying. It's just like, people don't realize how much, again, it's America. We have this independence, which can be really great, but also really toxic, just kind of built into our souls from birth. And, you know, we got, and also like the whole self-sufficiency thing, like I shouldn't have to invest in this unless it's a hobby. And then I should only do it if I have the spare money. And people don't realize this is something they're doing for their souls, for their soul survival. So
Beautiful, Karin. Thank you. You know what? I don't know if it helped Sharissa, but I definitely felt it. So that was awesome. Thank you so much. Hey, let's hear from one more person on this. You know what? I also have to tell you, you guys, most of you probably know Chris Marks. He runs Off the Wall Music School in Seattle. Super cool guy. I woke up this morning and Amazon had brought me, because I drink a lot of coffee, this surfer coffee, and it's called like by Laird Hamilton, and it's like super surfer fuel coffee. And so I seem extra crazy today. Thank you, Chris Marks, wherever you are, for sending me that. That was a really nice gesture. And wow, a couple of these, I could just do this all day. This is Mastermind will be from like 10 to 5, just constantly talking. Hey, Steve, what did you want to say?
Hey, everyone. Yeah, a couple disjointed thoughts came up from our conversation. But like what Eric was saying about Sharissa's situation, a lot of the gyms or personal trainers closing up. It's reminiscent of when the real estate market crashed, and lots of people that were just sort of fair weather and I'm going to be a real estate agent, they go, oh, there's nothing here. You know, it just cleaned it out. And the people that were the pros and saw the opportunity and said, oh, look what kind of opportunity is here when everything fell apart. You know, it really, you know, weeds out, you know, who's really committed to this for the long haul and the professionals. But I was going to, sort of back to the idea of the meet and greet. I have a similar process to Eric having that first meeting, but as a topic that came up with a bunch of us, what's really important is not trying to close in that meeting, but it's what they know about you before the meeting. That if you have an enthusiastic referral, if I say, you have got to see Tony for piano, people will go, even if he bungles the first conversation, like people still trust that this is the right thing. So I get most of my private students through referral, and people are ready to sign up, and I say, hey, let's do they're like, we're ready to go, when do you have a spot? I'm like, let's do the meeting first. So I do the free meet and greet, but not that I'm trying to sell them on a free lesson, but I want to have that conversation to build the relationship, let them talk. I'll have them just talk about their kid. A lot of times the parents are talking, try to get the kids to talk, hear them play a little bit, but it's to build that relationship. So there's just some goodwill and to make sure it's a good fit. Sometimes I've had some red flags of, you know, this isn't going to work, or the kid doesn't want to be here, or something is weird, and I can refer them. But I've noticed way higher retention since I started doing that, because then I really know the parents, I know the family, things go smoothly, rather than what it used to be. It's like you've in the openings, Tuesday at 2:30, and then they drop off the kid, and then our first conversation ends up being some kind of miscommunication about scheduling or billing, because we didn't really sit down and have the conversation. Like, well, I sent you the policies. That's not the same as actually having the talk. So when someone contacts me, you know, they might call me up, oh, tell me about, you know, when do you have availability? And I'm like, hey, I'm going to send you some lesson info. Tell me about your kid. I just get them to talk, and then I send them to a website, or I have a PDF that has pictures of, here's all my studio recital, all my kids on stage at the recital hall or at the Royal Room playing, you know, so I have a bunch of images of stuff so people see that, you know, and then they get to my rates and the info at the bottom. So by the time we're actually in that meet and greet, it's not me trying to sell. It's just kind of coming. I say it's like to come up with a game plan. And a couple traps people fall into, at least from kind of the way that I'm sort of in line with Eric and Tony, how you look at it. We run into trouble if you feel like this is where you have to convert, that you have to put on a show, so you're trying to convince them during the trial lesson, rather than having them already on board before. And also, I heard a lot of people go, you've got to charge, you got your charge, you know, time is money, you got to charge for every minute of your time. I kind of like to push back on that. Just actually getting stuck in the hourly rate mentality actually can hold you back from further leveraging your time later on. But if we're talking lifetime value of the client, you know, for those of us that want to charge premium rates, you can go above and beyond. You have an extra conversation. You write a college letter of recommendation. You help them buy a horn. You do extra stuff where you're not charging by the minute, but you've raised your rates to the point you've got time to do that kind of thing. And it's like above and beyond, and you get just like, I get way more referrals, and it's like help the bottom line. So whether you charge or not, I don't think it matters. It's just how you want to have that first conversation and get things moving forward. All right, I'll leave it there because I'll.
No, I think it's a great way of looking at it. So I agree, and I feel like I feel like there's a lot of ways to do it well. If at the core it always comes back to the same thing of using that time to build a connection, of whether you're being paid for it or not. There's plus and minuses to both. I'm with you, Steve. I do the same thing. We're almost out of time. This day went so fast, and it's been such a good conversation, and we went so deep on it. If anybody had thoughts or wanted to ask a question or something with the time we have, go ahead and throw it in the conversations, just so I don't miss anybody. If anybody had like a question about anything else that might lead to another mastermind, I don't have to go exactly at 11 today. I can say and answer any questions or chat for a second if anybody has like another topic they'd want some just to bounce around a little bit. But I think it was so awesome to kind of deep dive into this today and to really really hash it out and kind of play around with it a little bit, because it's such an important part that people get so excited. I see people getting excited about creating marketing funnels, right? They love the idea of the prospect of like putting up landing pages, running ads, because that's exciting. You're playing the lottery, right? And the meet and greet, the consultation, that's the real piece of the funnel, right? If you put all this work into getting someone or being awesome, you get a referral, however they come to you, that moment of connection is huge, right? When I was a kid growing up, there was this kid that lived in my neighborhood, and his dad had like 25 dogs, and they were amazing. And he could manage these 25 dogs. They were kind of like hunting. I grew up in the middle of nowhere in the woods, and I was hanging out there, and I was like, how do you train all these dogs to be so awesome? And he's like, it's all about your first day or two with them. And I'm not trying to relate human relationships to dogs, but it's been profoundly impactful in my life, which is, when he gets a new dog, he spends 48 hours with it every second on the floor, sleeps with it by the kennel. And that's all the training this guy ever did. And his lesson to a young kid was like, treat people like when you meet a new person, give them every bit of yourself for those whatever moments you have of being together, because that is so powerful for the entire relationship moving forward. Like if I can meet with you and make you feel better than you did at the beginning of the call, like I get nervous. Like if I were going to go see a personal trainer, I would definitely be sweating at the beginning of that call. And if at the end of the call, I felt like, or when I go to see a vocal coach, I always get so nervous. I've seen like 20 of them because I love learning from them. That's the most exposing and nervous relationship for me. And that's one of the reasons I do it. But if I go see a coach and I leave and I just feel prickly and I feel less than, and I feel like, wow, that sucked. I'm an adult. I can force myself to keep going if I think I'll learn. But if I feel like empowered and that I can do better and that I can, was better than when I showed up, I'm in. And, I think it was Steve Hughes said, this idea of like treating people in your process how you'd want to be treated. And I had a post the other week about pay attention to your business experiences. Right? Which ones suck? Like what makes you mad when you're getting nickeled and dimed, when you're not seeing transparency, when people are trying to push you into something you're not ready for? It's really informing, because we are blinded to the fact that every time we buy something, we've been marketed to, right? We often don't think of it. And I see it in a lot of these groups too, whether it's like coaches coming in to coach or offering something or other in all these different spaces, or a new technology platform coming out, whatever it may be, it's marketing. And sometimes we're, from their end, it's marketing. From our end, it's like, oh, this seems really neat. I'm really excited. I'm so glad I bought this pair of pants. But you bought that pair of pants because you were marketed towards it. And being aware of your entire experience from beginning to end is really awesome. Does anybody have a question? Do they have a topic? They have a quick follow-up that they'd like to do before we get out? I'm so sorry we didn't hear from everybody today, but we just kind of got in there deep, and next time we will. But I'm so glad you're all here. We have just a few minutes left. Does somebody want to share something, or wait? Steve, did you have something you wanted to say? Sorry, I'm just trying to manage the chat here. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah.
Cheryl.
I I was wanting to get feedback. I had
Hmm.
posted a comment from earlier this week. I don't know if you remember that. I feel just incredibly overwhelmed with my task list right now, and I feel like, I mean, part of it is I'm putting my attention to my students, um, and wanting to make sure that, I mean, that's my main focus. I don't want to lose income. So my attention is going there, so I'm doing a lot of things to maintain that, which is great, but I'm also trying to improve my lifestyle, and I'm also getting back into practicing regularly. So there's these things that I'm doing that are very positive, but in the meantime, my task list is growing. So it's kind of a time management issue, but it's also more of like it takes me, like I block out my Friday to just work on getting through my tasks that have either added on throughout the week, or that, I have my high priority, kind of medium, low priority kind of task. And I didn't know if there, and you said that you could recommend someone to me, but um, hiring someone or I know there are programs, and I use a Todoist to organize, but the organizing is not really the issue. It's the process of organizing. And like it takes me forever to get in gear, and once I get in gear, it's fine. But it's like it's a lot of energy to go through everything, get everything mapped out, and then assign the task properly, schedule the task properly, and all my mental energy is spent towards my students and doing those kind of things. But when it comes to mine, I feel that, it's like it's the whole psychologist bit. You know, they can tell you your problems, but they can't figure out their own problems.
Wow. You know what? I think that we have come full circle. I see Cheryl. I saw you want to say something. I want to hear you. Go ahead, Cheryl. Did you have something you wanted to say to that? I saw your mute
Yeah,
went
but
on.
I will. Go ahead.
Go for it. After you.
It's about getting into the body. The body lives in the present moment, and the mind lives in the past and the future. So this is a job for Sharissa and everybody. It's like, just go drop down. We all go in and out all day long. So just being embodied will get you out of your head and in action more. Because I struggle with the same thing, and it's a transition thing. Like, it gets harder to go from tasks to focus to so it's the body will guide you. You don't, once you get into your body.
I think that's an awesome wisdom, and it's and profound and totally true, in that we have X amount of hours, and we also have X amount of energy, and we want to plan, and there's things that we value doing. And Stephen, I am so with you on this. I feel I'm like this all the time, where I'm always looking at my to-do list. It's always huge. I'm always editing. I'm trying to cut things out. I just want to watch my kids grow up, because they're growing up really fast, right? And I've got them, they're stuck at home with me right now. So I've got them, and I've spent this year having like meals with my kids, which has been amazing. And we do our priorities, I know your income, you have to make you really need to keep up your practice too. You will have your whole life to practice, which is really awesome. And you have young kids that you won't always have young kids, and all these other, areas you want to work on. I think this would be a great total mastermind session, which is like, we get together and we say, okay, we're all overwhelmed. First off, let's be super grateful for the fact that we're busy, right? And that we're all sitting here being like, oh my gosh, I can't do all the work I need. I can't take all the clients that are trying to sign up with me, or I lost half my clients, but I still have half my income coming in. I'm still able to like buy dog food for my dog. Wherever you are, where this group tends to be in a real place of where we can all be really grateful and working to be more present and getting more kind of centered and grounded in that. And then putting tactics over top. I think I actually have a really good idea for a couple guests to bring in. I know a couple superstars in the space, one of which is my best friend. And I'm going to see if I can arm wrestle him to come. My best friend was like he was a professional tennis player. He was like he played like Pac-10 college tennis, but he's an ER doctor now. And, he's exactly what Sheryl was just describing, which is presence, massive able to tackle massive workloads, stack ranking it, triaging it, knowing when to get somebody else to do it. And I mean, he's like my hero in that respect. So maybe we'll do a mastermind on this topic and bring in a couple cool special guests that are to discuss. So Steven, I'm glad you brought that up because I think we're probably all feeling that. Was there somebody else that had a follow up on that? I can't see everybody. Go ahead, just if you do, really quick.
Yeah,
I had a thought, but Mike's had his hand up too, so why doesn't he go ahead?
Hey, Karin. Appreciate that. First of all, I just want to say that this has been really, really awesome. Really, really got a ton of value from this. I think each and every one of you are real rock stars at what you do. I do have a question, Eric, which has to do with the whole topic of onboarding and what we were basically talking about today. But I know it's already past 2, so this is probably like not a question that's like a yes or no. So maybe we should. I don't know if anybody else would like to have a sort of a follow up to this. If anybody has thoughts on like onboarding and stuff, but I will just say that I've had a just kind of like a little bit of a challenge, not a challenge. What's the word I'm looking for? Like a little bump in the road. But yeah, which is an opportunity, of course.
Well, I want to hear about it. So maybe if it's a longer tail question, I can hang out for a second. I know some people have to run because we're technically out of time. I've got a few minutes to hang around if you want to ask it. If you have to go, anybody, thank you. This was amazing, and I
would love
you all
to.
being
Yeah.
Here, Mike, if you want to ask, I have a little bit of time if you'd like to stay. But yeah, thanks for being here, everybody. Go ahead, Mike.
First of all, hey, Eric.
What's up? What's up?
Yeah. Honestly, this was like a great session, and it's amazing how many people showed up. So, and I honestly feel like I took a lot from everything that was said. Steve said something that I resonated with, which is he said that he believes that, or he believes that the more a potential client knows before,
Yep.
and then that's better. And then Tony said about whether it comes from like a referral, from like one of your clients, already one of your students, that makes a difference too. And I'm with them 100% on that. Now, I will just let's say that 2020 has been like a crazy year, no doubt, but it's been my best year of my life. First of all, I got married. I moved to an amazing apartment in the Upper West Side. I'm getting to my point, but so I just got a nice Ibanez jazz guitar on Saturday. So I'm feeling great. I've had the most number of students I've had now since I've ever had, and not only just the number, but also the kind of students that really get what I'm about.
Okay.
So and now so I'm in a place of gratitude and abundance, and I do practice a lot of things to feel always, to not come across as, So, but to the point now is that the last 3 people that I've that have been potential clients have basically ghosted me, and it kind of sucks, but it sucks because it made me feel like, do I really understand human beings if I didn't see the signs before? And again, I do a meet and greet as well and I don't charge for it either, because I just see a meet and greet as a discovery. I really want to know, why do they want to learn guitar? Why now? Everything, what's your musical experience? What are your goals, aspirations, etc., etc. So I wanna do that, and I will never charge for it because I just really want to know that person.
So Mike, let me interrupt you. You said you had 3 people ghost in a row, which I'm pretty sure that's the exact same thing that Sharissa said. She's like another New Yorker, and she said the exact. And both of you have a lot of experience. I might, Can
I just say one more thing, because I think that will be good for you to know. I feel I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like it was all price. It had to do with the price. So what I did to counter that is I realized, okay, well, maybe I should share my rates before the meet and greet so that they know, yeah. So
I do.
and you do. You share your rates before the meet and greet.
It's on my public booking link.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when people-
So I just want to say that I wasn't doing that in the past, but now my rates are on my website also. But I guess sometimes people just don't see your rates. So I guess I
they
think
see
what
your
you're
rates. That's the first thing they look for. They see your rates.
Well, I literally have had people that have contacted me through my website that when we went into the meet and greet, they said they didn't know my pricing. So it made me realize, okay, maybe through the email communication before setting up the meet and greet, I should. But it just, yeah.
You know what, Mike? I heard like 7 little red flags that you and I should talk about privately in that one sentence, and a couple that I think might really help iron that out. I think you're also maybe in New York City, and maybe you and Sharissa are seeing a similar thing. I think there could be a through line there. I'd encourage pairing with her because she's really awesome, and she's been working that scene a really long time. And I think there might be something you might discover together. But I heard some just operational flow things that are that maybe you and I could discuss just as guitar teachers that I think I might be able to help you out with. But that's
Excellent.
awesome.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Who cares? You got married and you got a new guitar, man. Like, what are you even doing here? You got it all. That's fantastic.
Yeah, but I was just going to say to Mike, I definitely like them knowing the rate, but I don't post it like some people's website. You click on ericbrander.com and it's like, I charge this much. Like, you don't want to see that right on the front page, but people email me. I send them, like I said, the info with the web page. Here's all the photos of the kids having a good time playing. Here's the rates. And then we do the call after that. But also I was noticing, as humans, we're always detecting patterns, so maybe, a few things didn't work out in a row. Like the beginning of the summer, I think I posted on Fons, I had a few students who say they wanted to take a break for the summer, which I hadn't had happen before. It's like red flag, like what's happening?
Yes.
And it turned out it wasn't really, it might've been just like a fluke thing. One of them signed back up, other people, it didn't, and that's actually what got me grinding on my course too. And I was like, I don't know if the part of my private lesson studio, is this starting to fizzle out? But it wasn't really a pattern. It was just kind of a coincidence that this happened and nothing changed that much. So definitely could be some operation stuff, but sometimes there's sometimes we see a coincidence and then suddenly we think it's some kind of, that it's a pattern that's not really there.
Well, I'm going to go back to this thing, 13, 18 people I've seen in the last 6 weeks since I switched this thing of having my free meet and greet on my public booking link with I'm $100 for 45 minutes right below it, everyone is still booked there. When I say, hey, book an appointment here, I at least 3 or 4 of them, having already looked at my public booking link and seen my price, have still said, because they have to see it, it's right there, to be like, how much do you charge again? That is the human nature of people, to be like, they know how much I charge. They want to make me say it, and they've already seen it. And that's something I've really noticed as far as like, that's interesting. And the more savvy they are, the more likely they are to say, and what was your price again? And I kind of know where this is going. And that's been a pattern I've seen. So I have to actually jump in just a second. But I could do this all day because I'm powered by this crazy coffee that Chris sent me. Thanks, wherever you are. I think we have some great ideas for our next mastermind, right? I love this idea of the overwhelm and how to deal with that. And I think we can continue this conversation too, because I think it's going to be really helpful. And I'm looking forward to diving in deeper. If anybody wants to follow up or has thoughts, I'm around later today. Be happy to jump on a quick call. And if not, we can kind of take it to the Facebook page and kind of discuss there too. So sorry, I got to run, but I want to thank everybody for coming today. This was really, really great. I'm going to post this as soon as I can get it out. I'm not even going to edit it. I'm just going to put it up. So thank you all for being here. Have a lovely day and a great weekend. And who's digging this Friday kind of flow for Mastermind instead of Wednesday? I feel like it's kind of seems to be a good fit. So I think we might actually move it here. So anyway, have a lovely weekend. Thank you, friends. I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.